Alright, so here we are in week 3 of the season. The Steelers are 2-0. Not really a surprise. I mean, they beat the Giants really nicely on Monday Night Football. They won a very close game against the Denver Broncos, which I kind of thought was going to be more closer than I think a lot of people were thinking of. But when you really think about it, they haven't really faced the big quarterbacks at that point, the bigger name quarterbacks. Like, their biggest competitors were Daniel Jones, who's still pretty much a rookie, Drew Lock, who's still pretty much a rookie starter. I mean, like he's not even that, because they both started last year. Like, they're slowly but surely coming into their own. And then when Drew Lock got injured last week, they had to deal with Jeff Driscoll, even though Jeff Driscoll did pretty well last week. But now they're starting to get into the big competition. Like, this week, Deshaun Watson comes to town, and the Houston Texans, who surprisingly are, I guess not really surprisingly, they're 0-2 right now. When I really think about it, they had Kansas City on opening night and then Baltimore last week, so those two were kind of easy losses for them. And now they come into Pittsburgh, and this is one of the games I was worried about when I saw that on the schedule, and I realized that, okay, there's a chance that Houston could probably lose to Kansas City and lose to Baltimore, and then this would have to be a must-win game. And now we're in that situation now. The Texans come in 0-2, the Steelers are 2-0, so I've been seeing a lot of people saying that, okay, the Texans are not that great, so the Steelers should be able to win this game with ease, but this could be one of those trap games. Here's the thing with the Steelers. Let me rephrase it. Here's the thing about the Texans, that, yeah, they lost DeAndre Hopkins, and you can tell that they're still struggling to find the next guy to take his place. Like, they brought in Brandon Cooks, they brought in Randall Cobb, they still have Kenny Stills, they have Kiki QT, they still have the tight end Darren Fells, so Deshaun Watson definitely has a lot of targets on him. But he faced some stiff competition in the first 2 weeks, and now this game is really going to show us who's the better team in this situation. Are the Texans better than we're giving them credit for, or are the Steelers as good as the Steelers were as good as they've been given credit for? So this is the game that kind of worried me when I saw the schedule. I couldn't decide, because it was either going to be between this game or the Tennessee Titans, where I had the Steelers' first loss, and the more I think about it, I think the Steelers could end up losing this game. I know everyone right now is predicting the Steelers to win this one, and I don't know. Just to me, this is one of the games I was worried about. I think the Texans come in here looking to get their first win. They're going to be hell-bent on getting a win, and part of me is worried that the Steelers aren't going to be ready for them. I feel like the Steelers are going to go into this game thinking, oh, the Texans are 0-2. This is going to be a cakewalk. We should be able to get this done. And that's where Randy Fichtner's questionable offensive coordinating plans come into play here, because there has been a lot of questionable decisions on his part since he became the offensive coordinator, and that's what has me worried there. So the most interesting aspect, of course, is that all three Watt brothers are playing in this game. JJ for the Texans, TJ and Derek for the Steelers. So yeah, a lot of the hype is around that, and it should be, because that should be a fun game to watch regardless, because seeing all three of them together on one stage is going to be very interesting indeed. And personally, I think it would be kind of interesting to see. But I don't know how they would do this. Probably for a kneel down, if whoever wins the game, they have all three Watt brothers on the same play at the same time, have them all on the same field. I don't know. Like, to me, I think that would be kind of interesting, but yeah, that's just wishful thinking on my part. So, but yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch. In my gut feeling is saying go with the Steelers, but my brain is telling me the Texans probably have a better chance to win this, because they want to get a win so they can get the season going. And usually this is where they usually the third week is where they start getting going. So yeah, I'm going to say the Texans win this one. I won't be surprised if the Steelers win, because they want to get to 3-0. The first time they've done that in 10 years. The last time they went to the Super Bowl. The Texans, I can't remember the last time they were 0-3. I'd have to double check. Okay, it wasn't even that long ago. It was only 2 years ago. They lost to New England, Tennessee, and New York, and they were 0-3 to start the season, and then they ended up winning against Indianapolis. I believe the Indianapolis game was the one where Frank Reich decided to go for it in Houston territory, in their own territory, and that ended up costing the Colts the game, and the Texans ended up winning that one. So, but yeah, like I said, The Texans don't want to go 0-3 again. The Steelers would love to go 3-0. My gut feeling is saying go with the Steelers, but my brain is telling me I have to go with the Texans. So the Texans are going to be my pick to win this week. If the Steelers win, I'm not going to be too surprised, but let's just see what happens.
The most up-to-date odds.
And time now to beat the bus. Jerome, in the words of the Queen, Beyonce, who run the world? Yeah, that would be girls. After 2 weeks in the Beat the Bus competition, I would like to say proudly, I am still unbeaten at 7-0. You and Al will be 2 games behind, but hey, we got some difference makers this week. Let's see if you guys can make up some ground. Starting with the Steelers and the Texans, your pick.
Well, I'm going with the Steelers to win this football game. Obviously, it's going to be a tough matchup. But I think the Steelers, being a complete team, having a really solid defense, I think they still have the ability to edge out this game. It's going to be a close one, but I think the Steelers win.
Well, let's roll out the AFC North and Sunday night football picks of the week. We all have the Steelers winning. The FanDuel Sportsbook line as of this show taping is Steelers by 4. Bengals and Eagles, a little difference here. I'm taking the Bengals. You guys both have the Eagles here. FanDuel Sportsbook line is Eagles by 4.5. Washington at the Browns. Cleveland heavy favorites by 7.5. All three of us have Cleveland to win this game. And Packers at the Saints. Sunday Night Football on Channel 11. The Saints are favored by 3. Again, I'm going with the underdog here, taking the Green Bay Packers. And the Monday Night Showdown. Ravens favored by 3.5. We all have the Ravens to win. You can check sportsbook.fanduel.com for up-to-the-minute betting lines.
Pepsi Picks, brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, welcome back to Steelers Kickoff 2020. Time for the predictions. Rich, you first.
Steelers winning this one 28-20 by 8 points there. I think the offense still finding its way, but they're going to score in the upper 20s, maybe lower 30s. I would love to see Eric Ebron more involved, and I obviously think they need to do a much better job of running the football, but I like 28-20.
Charlie.
Bob, I don't think the Texans have enough firepower on offense. They've only scored less than 25 points in 6 straight games. Today, make it 7. The Steelers win 27-17.
All right, Jerry Dulac has told us his pick, and he likes the Steelers also in a close game. I'll be the lone wolf here today. I just think the Texans are due. They're a desperate team. They're better than what they've showed, and the Steelers are going to lose some games this season, so I like them 27-23 in a close game. Here's hoping I'm wrong. Meantime, your player to watch.
Completion percentage, but he'll be without starting center David Andrews today.
Well, there are the Watt brothers having a little fun on the field. Can you imagine their mother saying, "Boy, stop that. You're breaking all the furniture."
Phil had a rough childhood, folks.
Time now to set the scene at your game as we take you out first on the field, presented by Pepsi for the latest news and updates on your matchup.
JB, it's 2-0 versus 0-2 here in Pittsburgh. The Steelers host the Texans. Week 3 action in the NFL. And here in the broadcast booth, hi everybody, I Andy go along with Charles Davis. Pittsburgh victories over the Giants and the Denver Broncos. Ben Roethlisberger is back where he belongs. And Juju Smith-Schuster is certainly benefiting here in the early portion of the season, CD.
I don't think anyone was happier on the Steelers roster about Ben's return than Juju Smith-Schuster. Had his big year 2018 with him. Without him last year, injuries, didn't play quite as well. He's exciting.
New faces on offense for the Texans. Looked like Deshaun Watson and wide receiver Brandon Cooks started to click last week in that loss to Baltimore.
And they need that in the big plays downfield. Brandon Cooks, 3 different teams, 1,000-yard seasons with them.
3 Watt brothers on the same field today. What an accomplishment. Fullback Derek Watt for Pittsburgh. He's fitting in nicely with his new team.
It certainly is, but last week created a safety and they had a big lead block for James Conner's late run to ice the game.
Defensively, Houston got overmatched the first 2 weeks. Bill O'Brien said one big play can turn your season around. Maybe Whitney Merciless is a factor in that today for the Texans.
50 career sacks. He'd like to add 1 or 2 to that number today and get them going.
Making a name for himself with Pittsburgh safety Mike Hilton plays in the nickel and wreaking havoc on the blitz.
He can do it all for them, and when he comes on the blitz, he certainly does create havoc.
And Charles, Texans are searching for balance on offense. David Johnson had a strong debut versus Kansas City in his first game as a Texan. not as heavily involved last week.
Expect that to change. He's going to touch the ball early and often, especially in the running game.
We got the Texans and the Steelers coming up. An emerging superstar in Vegas. We'll have that for you when the NFL Today continues. Room with a 21-17 lead on the Steelers. Pittsburgh will have possession to open up the second half.
Well, this has been an exciting game so far. Kind of figured that was going to happen. Texans jumped out to a 14-3 lead, but the Steelers bounced back. It was 17-14 before the Texans scored on the last touchdown. So now it's 21-17, and this is pretty much what I expected it to be like. I mean, yeah, the Texans are 0-2, but they're in desperation mode. Deshaun Watson is finding his guys. He found Randall Cobb for a touchdown. David Johnson got in for an easy touchdown. Will Fuller got in on an easy touchdown. So I'm not surprised. I am surprised the Steelers got off to a sluggish start at the beginning. Like, being down 14-3 in that first quarter, it's just like, I mean, it's Randy Fichtner, man. I just don't understand his play calling. I swear he looks at other playbooks from the last time these teams played each other and said, I'll just do this again, why not? But then in the second half, when they let Ben Roethlisberger do what he does best, the team finally got going. Eric Ebron got his first touchdown as a Steeler. Juju Smith-Schuster with a touchdown. And the Steelers are going to get the ball to start the second half. So, it's far from over, but this is going to be a pretty close one here. Like I said, I have the Texans winning this one, but hopefully the Steelers can keep it close. So, let's go ahead and see what happens.
Second half, and now we get a fresh look at the offensive line. We really dominated the fourth quarter.
Timeout, Juju Smith-Schuster.
I think he's got his joy back.
He does. This whole team does. Think about it. Derek. At least on the scoreboard.
It was 2 against 1.
Yeah, even though we still didn't get to see all three Watt brothers on the same play, I'll take this. I cannot believe I'm actually saying this. The Steelers are 3-0 for the first time in almost a decade. What a game! What a game!
With a strong second half, they defeat the Texans 28-21 to move to 3-0 on the season. Texans drop.
Come on, put the score up.
Bonus coverage, the NFL on CBS, a tight one in Minneapolis.
Yeah, that's close enough.
The Titans 28.
There it is. I'm never letting go of this. I'm never letting go of this, because as soon as I held on to this, the Steelers ended up playing well again. But yeah, we are 3-0 now to start the season, and I'll give a lot of credit to the Steelers' defense. They really came through in the second half. Offense, they got it done when they needed to get done. Like in the third quarter, they didn't do too much, but in the fourth quarter, they put it all together in the end. They gave the ball to James Conner and Benny Snell. Even Anthony McFarland had some plays today. But for the most part, everybody did pretty well. Ben Roethlisberger didn't have the ball picked off. He threw for 2 touchdowns. Eric Ebron got a touchdown. And things are going pretty good right now. Like, I was really afraid that the Texans were going to be able to win this because they're in so much desperation mode right now, but they're now 0-3, and I'm not going to say they're struggling right now, because they did find some pieces with Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb making some big plays today, but they're missing guys like DeAndre Hopkins. Like, they need to get a DeAndre Hopkins wide receiver if Deshaun Watson's ever going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. But, I'm feeling pretty good right now, obviously, because we are now 3-0, and next week we play the Texans, and they just won against Minnesota, so it's going to be a battle of the undefeateds next week, so we'll see what happens, but I'm going to be happy right now. For the first time in 10 years, we're 3-0 to start the season.